Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. One simple choice you make before bed tonight could mean the difference between waking up drained and sluggish or rising with the strength, energy, and confidence of a man 10 years younger. At 50 and beyond, performance is no longer about pushing harder, it's about preparing smarter. And the secret begins not in the morning, but in the ritual you create the night before. When we talk about men over 50, we are not only talking about age. We are talking about stories that live inside the body. We are talking about vitality, desire, and the longing to still feel strong in the face of change. At this stage of life, performance is no longer only about the physical mechanics. It is about the interplay of confidence, intimacy, and the rituals that sustain you. And so when you hear the phrase, drink this before bed for stronger performance by morning, it is not only about a liquid in a glass, it is about what you choose to nourish yourself with, night after night. At 50, the body whispers new truths. It does not always respond with the same immediacy it once did. Recovery takes longer, sleep becomes lighter, and energy fluctuates. These are not signs of weakness, but invitations to listen differently. You may once have measured your strength by how quickly you could respond, by how much you could endure, or by how long you could last. But today, strength asks you to engage with yourself in more subtle ways. What you drink, what you consume, physically and emotionally, becomes the foundation of your vitality. There is a ritual to drinking before bed. You choose a cup, you pour liquid, you bring it to your lips. Already there is mindfulness in this act. It is not simply a biological task, it is symbolic. It says, I am preparing myself for renewal. You are telling your body, I am giving you something to work with while you rest. So, oh, that by morning I may rise with more energy, more power, more capacity. This is not unlike the way we prepare ourselves emotionally before intimacy. We tend to forget that the moments leading up to connection, the conversations, the gestures, the pauses, these are the ingredients that shape performance just as much as the act itself. Imagine a man who drinks not only to quench thirst, but to invest in his future self. A man who knows that what he chooses tonight will echo tomorrow. This is a different kind of masculinity, one that embraces preparation rather than improvisation. It is not about chasing eternal youth, but about creating conditions for vitality at any age. The drink before bed becomes a metaphor for choice. Do you choose what depletes you or what nourishes you? Do you consume what numbs or what strengthens? For many men, the 50s bring a reckoning. The body does not respond as quickly, and the mind begins to negotiate with the past. Memories of who you were collide with the reality of who you are becoming. This can create anxiety around performance, sexual performance, yes, but also performance at work, in relationships, in the roles you play for others. You wonder, can I still rise to the occasion? Do I still have what it takes? The drink before bed is not a miracle cure, but it can be an anchor. It is the act of saying, I still care for my body, I still believe in my power, I still prepare for what is coming. Performance, after 50, requires a new kind of strength. It is not the reckless stamina of youth, but the cultivated resilience of a man who knows himself. It is not about conquering, but about sustaining. And here lies the paradox. The less you push to prove yourself, the stronger you become. Because true performance is not about the ability to control every outcome, but about showing up fully present, rested, and alive. Think of the drink before bed as a ritual of grounding. Perhaps it is warm water with lemon or a tea infused with herbs known to soothe the nervous system and stimulate circulation. Perhaps it is something that replenishes minerals lost during the day or a simple tonic that promotes restful sleep. The details matter less than the commitment. What matters is that you treat yourself as someone worth preparing for, that you tell your body, I am not done yet. I am investing in our shared tomorrow. And while you drink, consider the larger question. What else are you consuming before bed? Are you consuming stress, Scrolling through headlines until midnight, filling your mind with noise? Are you consuming resentment, replaying arguments, keeping your body tense even as you lie in the dark? Or are you consuming presence, perhaps by reading words that inspire you, breathing slowly, sharing intimacy with a partner, or simply giving yourself permission to rest? Performance is not created in the moment alone. It is cultivated in the hours before, in the quality of your preparation. Men often think of strength as something they must display outwardly, but real strength, particularly after 50, is inward. It is the ability to sustain desire, to nurture connection, to stay engaged with life itself. And that kind of strength cannot come from force. It comes from rituals of care. Drinking before bed becomes one of those rituals. You hydrate your muscles, support your circulation, calm your nervous system, and most importantly, you send yourself a message. I matter enough to prepare for tomorrow. You see, the body is listening. It responds not only to what you do, but to the intentions behind your actions. If you drink hurriedly, as if checking off a task, the body absorbs the liquid but not the meaning. If you drink with reverence, with the awareness that this is part of your preparation for strength, then the act itself becomes more powerful. You begin to align with the message. Stronger performance comes not from sudden burst, but from steady investment. This is not only about the physical body, this is about desire, intimacy, and connection. Men often measure their worth by their ability to perform, to give pleasure, to satisfy. And when the body changes, doubt creeps in. But performance is not only about the erection, the stamina, or the mechanics. It is about presence, confidence, and the willingness to engage. The drink before bed becomes part of that confidence. It is a declaration. I am taking steps, however small, to support my strength. What happens when you create this ritual night after night? You begin to notice subtle changes. You sleep better. You wake with more energy. You feel calmer, more centered. These small shifts accumulate, and suddenly, performance does not feel like pressure. It feels like flow. You show up not with anxiety, but with readiness. You are no longer haunted by the question, will I be enough? Instead, you embody the answer because you have prepared. At 50, 60, 70, performance is less about force and more about rhythm. It is about listening deeply to your body, adjusting, adapting, honoring. The drink before bed is not magic, but it is symbolic. It says that you are not passive in the face of aging. You are an active participant. You choose what strengthens you. You choose what sustains you. You choose what allows you to wake in the morning and meet the day with strength. And this is the true invitation, not just to drink something before bed, but to live as if every choice you make tonight is shaping the man you will be tomorrow, because it is. Because it is. And so you begin to understand that performance, in its truest sense, is not confined to the bedroom or the office or the gym. It is the way you move through your entire life. The quality of your choices in the evening shapes the quality of your mornings, and those mornings accumulate into the rhythm of your years. Drinking before bed becomes a metaphor for preparing your future self with intention, choosing presence over distraction, care over neglect. Each glass is a small promise you keep with yourself, and over time, these promises create a foundation of trust in your own body and spirit. Trust is often overlooked when we talk about men and strength. We celebrate control, achievement, domination, but trust is what allows you to let go, to relax, to recover. Trust in your body means you do not need to command it into submission every time. You allow it to work with you, not against you. When you give your body nourishment before bed, when you choose to hydrate, to soothe, to replenish, you are sending the message, I trust you to do your work while I rest. This trust transforms the relationship you have with yourself. You are no longer a man at war with his own aging. You are a man collaborating with it, shaping it, guiding it. Men over 50 often face the myth that their best days are behind them, that performance, vitality, and virility belong only to the realm of youth. This myth is both cruel and false, because vitality is not a number. It is a practice. You can still wake with desire, you can still generate strength, you can still experience pleasure, but it requires a shift. You no longer rely on sheer adrenaline or raw energy. You cultivate instead. You prepare, you invest, you choose wisely. The drink before bed is a simple but profound example of that cultivation. There is also a psychological impact. When you consciously prepare your body for the night, you reduce anxiety about the morning. Instead of lying awake, worrying about whether you will feel sluggish, whether you will measure up, whether you will have enough energy, you rest in the knowledge that you have done your part. You have created the conditions for strength. And that sense of agency, the belief that you can influence your tomorrow, feeds directly into confidence. Confidence is not bravado, it is the quiet assurance that you are prepared. D, that you have invested in yourself, that you have shown up for your own well-being. Think about how this confidence spills into intimacy. Performance anxiety is one of the most common challenges men face, especially as they age. And yet, much of that anxiety stems not from the body failing, but from the mind doubting. When you arrive at intimacy already anxious, already questioning, your body follows suit. But when you arrive knowing that you have nurtured yourself, that you have given your body what it needs, that you are rested and ready, the anxiety softens. You are not proving, you are participating, you are not rushing, you are present. And in that presence, performance becomes natural, not forced. There is also the element of ritual. Human beings thrive on rituals because they give rhythm to life. They anchor us in a world that is constantly shifting. For men over 50, creating new rituals of care is essential. The drink before bed becomes one of those rituals, a nightly ceremony that says, I value myself. I am worthy of care. I choose strength, not neglect. It is a small act, but it reverberates far beyond the moment. It shapes how you sleep, how you wake, how you move, how you connect. Consider also the symbolism of water, of tea, of any nourishing liquid. These are not substances of excess or indulgence, they are elements of balance. They cleanse, they restore, they flow. Drinking before bed connects you to the idea of flow. Energy moving through you, circulation strengthening, your body renewing itself. This is the opposite of stagnation, of heaviness, of depletion. It is a reminder that life still moves through you with vitality and that you can support that flow with conscious choice. And it is not only about the body, it is about the mind. When you drink before bed with intention, you are signaling to your mind that it is time to shift gears, to move away from stress, work, or distraction and into restoration. Men over 50 carry a weight of responsibility for families, for careers, for communities. This weight often translates into constant mental activity, the inability to switch off. But the ritual of drinking becomes a boundary marker. It says, now is the time to release. Now is the time to hand over the day. This boundary is essential because performance depends on recovery. Without rest, there is no strength. Without letting go, there is no renewal. In this way, the drink before bed becomes a practice of respect. Respect for your body, respect for your mind, respect for the years you have lived and the years you have yet to live. Respect is not about perfection. It is about acknowledgement. You acknowledge that you are no longer 25, that your body has changed, that you must care for yourself differently. But instead of resisting this reality, you embrace it. And in embracing it, you discover a deeper kind of power, one rooted not in denial, but in acceptance and intentional action. Performance after 50 is not about replicating the past. It is about creating a new standard for the present. You may not run as fast, but you can move with more wisdom. You may not recover overnight, but you can recover deeply. You may not experience desire in the same impulsive way, but you can experience intimacy with more depth, more tenderness, more presence. The drink before bed is a symbol of this evolution. It is a step toward redefining what it means to be strong, what it means to perform, what it means to be a man in this stage of life. This shift in perspective opens doors. When you see performance as the product of care rather than pressure, you liberate yourself from comparison. You no longer measure yourself against the man you were decades ago or against the men you see on screens. You measure yourself against your own capacity to prepare, to nurture, to show up. And in this frame, you are always capable of growth because growth is not about going backward. It is about moving forward with what you have now. The body responds to this mindset. When you feed it well, when you hydrate it, when you rest it, when you respect it, it gives back. It may not give back in the same way it once did, but it gives in ways that are meaningful, powerful, sustaining. And every time you lift that glass before bed, you remind yourself this is not about decline, this is about transformation. You are transforming your habits, your mindset, your rituals, and in doing so, you transform your experience of strength and performance. What else can this ritual inspire? Perhaps it encourages you to pay more attention to the other ways you prepare your body, the food you eat, the movement you engage in, the conversations you allow into your life, because performance is holistic. You cannot expect your body to thrive on neglect. You cannot expect intimacy to flourish in disconnection. You cannot expect energy to flow if you are constantly depleted. The drink before bed is one piece of the puzzle, but it opens the door to a larger commitment, to live with intention, to care for your body as the vessel of your vitality, to care for your relationships as the source of your connection. And so, night after night, glass after glass, you cultivate not only stronger performance by morning, but a stronger sense of self. You wake with the energy to meet the day, to show up in your work, in your relationships, in your desires. You wake not only physically stronger, but emotionally steadier. And from this steadiness, true performance emerges, not from pressure, but from presence. And presence is the very thing most men forget to cultivate as they grow older. Presence means you are here in your body, not chasing the ghosts of your past, nor rushing toward an uncertain future. Presence means you are listening, not only to others, but to yourself. Too many men in their 50s and beyond live as if they are constantly apologizing to their former selves, the faster, leaner, more impulsive version. But your body now does not want apologies, it wants attention. It wants you to notice the cues it sends, the subtleties in how it responds, the rhythms in how it restores. Performance that flows from presence is more powerful than any performance driven by comparison. When you create a ritual before bed, such as drinking something that nourishes you, you practice presence. You are not rushing through the act. You are not simply throwing something down your throat in a hurry. You are pausing. You are choosing. You are saying, this is a moment of care, and in that small pause, you remind yourself that your life is not just about output, it is also about input. If you are to perform in the morning, you must invest in yourself at night. Think of how this presence translates into intimacy. A man over 50 who drinks before bed with intention may also be the man who slows down when he touches his partner, who listens to her breath, who notices her rhythms, who brings his own groundedness into the space between them. Performance here is not about lasting the longest or proving capacity. It is about creating connection. It is about saying, I am here with you fully. And this kind of presence, cultivated in small nightly rituals, expands into every corner of your life. Your drink before bed becomes a mirror. It reflects the man you are becoming. If you drink without thought, you move through life without thought. If you drink with reverence, you move through life with reverence. This is how rituals shape identity, not in grand gestures, but in the repetition of small acts that remind you who you are and what you value. Each night, you affirm that you value renewal, you value strength, you value performance that comes from inner preparation rather than outer compulsion. And what does performance really mean at this stage of life? It means stamina, not only in the bedroom, but in conversations, in relationships, in projects that matter. It means resilience, the ability to recover, to keep going, to adapt. It means curiosity, the willingness to still explore, still learn, still engage. Performance is no longer about how much you can push, but about how deeply you can participate. And participation requires energy, and energy requires care. The drink before bed is a reminder that strength begins in the simplest places. There is also something profoundly humbling about this practice. Humility is not weakness, it is recognition. It is recognizing that you are not invincible, that you cannot treat your body as you once did and expect the same results. It is recognizing that you must now be intentional, that your strength depends on your choices. Humility allows you to see care not as indulgence, but as necessity. It allows you to accept that aging is not an enemy, but a teacher. And when you drink before bed, you drink in humility. You accept that you must replenish, that you must nurture, that you must give back to your body if you want it to give back to you. And consider the ripple effects. A man who prepares himself at night is also a man who shows up differently by day. He is calmer, less reactive, more attuned. He is not weighed down by fatigue or drained by neglect. He is not a man running on fumes, trying to push through on sheer willpower. He is a man who has cultivated his energy, who has prepared his strength, who has aligned his body and mind. The people around him feel this difference. His partner feels it in his touch. His colleagues feel it in his steadiness. His friends feel it in his presence. This is how small rituals become transformative. They ripple outward, far beyond the moment. It is easy to dismiss such rituals as trivial. A glass of tea, a tonic, some water with minerals. How could this change anything? But those who dismiss forget that life is built on repetition. The things you do every day shape you far more than the things you do once in a while. A single workout does not make you strong, but daily movement does. A single kind word does not build intimacy, but daily kindness does. In the same way, one drink before bed will not change you, but when it becomes a ritual, it reshapes the quality of your mornings, your energy, your performance. And here lies another truth. Men over 50 must learn to honor consistency over intensity. In your youth, intensity may have carried you far. You could push hard, stay up late, recover quickly, and still perform. But now, intensity without consistency drains you. It leaves you depleted, fragile, anxious. What sustains you now is consistency, the small, steady choices that accumulate into lasting strength. The drink before bed is one of those choices. It is not dramatic, it is not flashy, but it is consistent. And in consistency, you rediscover a strength more reliable than any quick fix. Performance also becomes about alignment between your body, your mind, and your spirit. Too often, men think of performance only in physical terms, but your body cannot perform if your mind is restless, if your spirit feels disconnected. The drink before bed is a symbolic act of alignment. It says, I am caring for all of me. I am calming my mind. I am nurturing my body. I am honoring my spirit. And this alignment is what allows you to wake with clarity, energy, and presence. Men at this stage often wrestle with the fear of irrelevance. They fear that their strength is fading, that their desirability is waning, that their role is diminishing. But relevance is not tied to age. It is tied to engagement. When you engage with your body, your partner, your work, your life, you remain relevant. And engagement is sustained not by force, but by rituals of care that give you the energy to show up fully. The drink before bed is one such ritual. It may look small, but it says, I am still here, I am still choosing, I am still participating. And perhaps most importantly, this ritual reconnects you with pleasure. Not just sexual pleasure, but the pleasure of caring for yourself, the pleasure of slowing down, the pleasure of savoring a moment. Too many men lose touch with pleasure as they age, trading it for responsibility, pressure, or duty. But pleasure is essential for performance. Pleasure is what makes you want to show up, what makes you feel alive, what makes you desire. Drinking something soothing, warming, nourishing before bed reawakens this connection to pleasure. It reminds you that caring for yourself can feel good. That strength does not need to come from struggle alone. Over time, this nightly practice reshapes the way you see yourself. You stop defining yourself only by what you can produce, only by the expectations of others, only by the comparison to your younger self. You begin to define yourself by the quality of your presence, by the steadiness of your energy, by the consistency of your care. You become a man who is not only capable of stronger performance by morning, but capable of deeper connection, richer intimacy, and more meaningful engagement with life. And as you continue, you realize that this is not just about drinking before bed. It is about everything that happens when you choose to treat yourself as someone worth investing in. You realize that you can approach your meals, your movements, your conversations, your relationships with the same intentionality. You realize that performance is not a single moment, but a way of living. And this way of living is cultivated one choice at a time, one ritual at a time, one glass before bed at a time.